Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones. And being an educator at heart, I'm dedicated to sharing conversations that inform and enlighten in the hopes that you learn something you may not have known. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are here live at Paradise Studios on the Strong Island Television Network. Make sure you like and share this show so people can find out all the great information we're going to be sharing today. So again, thank you for tuning in. We're in season 5 of the show, and it's about embracing your life. And for this winter season, we're talking about gratefulness and being grateful. And as always, we have great guests and great conversations. And we'll be here every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 6:30. You can now see us on Roku on the Strong Island Entertainment channel. So if you have Roku, you can check out our show, and you can also check out some of the great other shows that are on the Strong Island Television Network. So make sure you check that out. We're looking for partner sponsors. Contact me today if you want to support quality content. You could sponsor the season, you can sponsor a segment, or you can have an advertisement on the show. So give me a call to support this quality content. And you can also be part of the show with your very own Conversations with Verdel Jones mugs. You can go to my website, they're there, so you can have some coffee and some tea and hang out and watch the show in your very own Conversations with Verdel Jones mug. One of the things that I really am excited about that's coming up is our annual Write, Rhyme, and Recite Collective. Students apply for a Poetry Slam scholarship, and we've awarded $5,750 in the 2 years we've been doing this. So we're looking to award more this year. So if you know a student in the Long Island area who is graduating from high school and going to college in the fall, they can apply to the scholarship. You can select you can go to my website right there on the flyer, and applications are due March 15th. And we have an event on June 6th where we're going to award those scholarships. Students will have to recite their poem and then compete for a scholarship. We're also going to have authors participate. We've had authors participate the last 2 years, and they're able to kind of promote their book and sell their book and talk about their book. So we're looking for authors as well, and information about that is going to come out really soon. And this year we're also going to have vendors at the event. So if you're interested in vending at the event, we're also going to be doing that as well. Again, just keep keep a lookout for that as well. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to welcome our first guest. Yeah.
So youth give the opportunity to see what it looks like and be a part of it.
Welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. As you see, I have my first guest here, Jackie Duodu. Okay, I got it. All right. Burbridge. And Ms. Burbridge is running to become the next Suffolk County Legislator for the 15th District.
That's right. And
and the first Black woman to serve in the Suffolk County Legislature.
that's correct.
So when I saw that, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, seriously? It's 2020.
Yep. The legislature's been around for 50 years and never has a Black woman sat on that body.
That's amazing.
It is amazing
It
when
really
you consider
is.
when you consider how so many of us are heads of household and running businesses and running
Right.
nonprofits and communicating to the community and
Right.
just doing everything that needs to be done and having all those experiences, all that vast
amazing.
knowledge, and it's just been completely boxed out of
Right.
the highest
Right. As a
governing
matter of
body in
fact,
this
I was
country.
watching the live feed, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, of the Suffolk County Legislator. They were appointing people, right? So I was watching to see Retha Fernandez be appointed. They went on break, and then I had a meeting, and by the time I got back to it, they were closing. So I missed it. But, right.
very male, very pale.
It was very interesting. So we're talking, this season we're talking about being grateful and gratefulness. So how do you live in gratitude? How do you practice that?
I practice it by taking every opportunity that comes my way and seeing the positive in it. So, obviously I'm grateful for my health, for my family, my loved ones, to have a roof over my head and all of the things that we tend to sometimes take for granted. But, I was having a conversation with someone today specifically about this race. And, the reason why I got into this race is because I thought that it came about in a way that was kind of muting the voice of the voters. And so I was saying to this person, I think that we are at a point in time where we need to really capitalize on this opportunity to raise our voices, take our votes back, take our power back.
Yeah, and that's your slogan, bring power back to the people.
Yes, yeah. And what I got out of that conversation was that I am grateful to be able to be in a position where all those variables kind of came together in order for me to, I have a network in the community that lends credibility. I have a network in political arenas that open doors so that this could happen. I have flexibility in my professional life to actually be able to devote time to doing something like this in such a short period of time. Yeah. So it's, it comes together in a way that I don't know,
which is great.
That we'll see again, honestly, anytime really soon. So
yeah, so you figured I'm
grateful for that.
Seize the day, right?
Seize the day, yes.
So our voice matters, and that's really important for people to understand that. Why is it so critical for people to vote? Because some people think, oh, my vote doesn't count, it doesn't matter. But why is it important for people to vote?
It's important because it really is the only way in a lot of instances to have your voice be heard.
Yeah.
So you raised a good question, because when I keep going back to when I first learned about the race, because that it came open, part of what really galvanized me was this sense of my vote is being kind of taken away from me,
usurped.
And yeah, exactly, usurped. Let's start using that. You're gonna hear a lot.
Okay.
That my vote was being usurped, and it angered me in such a way, because I think about people like, I consider Congressman John Lewis a personal hero. And I think about him, and this is a man who literally had his skull cracked open so that people who look like us could have the right to vote.
I think to not vote is disrespectful.
I think so. But then when you find yourself in an environment where you are being told what your choice is, essentially, and it's the only choice that you have, then, what do? You feel unmotivated. You feel discouraged.
You're not given that choice.
And so people kind of pull away from the system because, like you said, they feel like, well, my vote doesn't matter. And so how do you convince them that your vote does matter in an environment like that?
True.
Yeah, you disrupt the environment.
You disrupt the environment. So what does a county legislator do? Because people sometimes, they don't understand, or they just don't know.
Right.
What does a county legislator do?
So Long Island, as most of us know, has so many layers of government. Sometimes it's difficult to follow along. So your most local level will usually be village, if you live in a village, and then the township. Most of this area is in town of Babylon, the district, and then the county level. So the county level the county legislature really acts almost like the body of Congress for this county.
For the county.
So it makes the laws.
Okay, right. So what areas make up the 15th district?
That is Copiague. Amityville, all of Amityville.
Okay.
Wyandanch, Wheatley Heights, East Farmingdale, portions of North Lindenhurst, West and North Babylon.
Okay, all right. So it's a fairly large
And
town of
diverse.
Babylon's the best town.
Yeah,
Let's just put it out there.
Biased.
a little bit. So if you're elected, what do you see as your role in this? How you explain what it is? What is your role?
My role is to be an advocate for my community and my neighbors, right? And I see myself, I am, honestly, by volunteerism, by way of my professional career in nonprofit, an advocate. And I've always advocated for full resources to be brought back to people who need them, for legislative policy that directly reflects the needs of the people that should be served. And so my job as a legislator would be continuing to do that and to assess the needs in our neighborhood. And I'm riding around, obviously I'm campaigning, and I'm just kind of moving through the area, dropping my child off at school and doing whatever I'm doing. And I'm seeing, in a way that I never really saw before, that there's an exploding homelessness situation. And there was always homelessness on Long Island. I used to work for a housing agency that provided housing.
So
I know. But it was always the kind of thing that was a little bit under the rug.
Right.
But now it's like, I mean, you know, you see people sleeping almost everywhere. Train stations, bus stops. Yes. And it's, you know, so making sure that people in our area have the access to truly affordable housing, as opposed to new developments that go up, and maybe put aside a little bit of a percentage for people who already live there to be able to stay.
Absolutely.
You know, there are creative ways to address that, like housing trusts and, you know, partnering with nonprofit housing developers. And so my job as legislator would be to continue along the lines that I've already spent my entire career doing research on best practices across the country and ways that people are being best served, and then bringing those resources, advocating for those resources to be brought back to this area. Because as we all know, you know, this district is majority minority, and a lot of times when there are resources to be allocated, when you have people who are working 2 jobs and then coming home and taking care of a baby and grandma, and you know, you don't have the time to show up at the meeting or the you know, the rally or whatever it is.
We were just talking about that. We were saying that when these things happen, it might be during the day, like the meeting that I was watching. It was streaming.
Yeah, right. I watched that stream at work too. So, yeah, I streamed it at work too.
I was at work.
Yeah.
So who's going out there?
That's right.
People who, maybe older people who don't want, you know, this development built because of the traffic, or, you know.
Or affluent people.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it really shuts a lot of people from the process, you know.
So the job is to be that advocate for the people who cannot be there. Right. To advocate for themselves.
You brought up housing, and it was just something in Newsday about millennials and speaking out about, you know, they want to live here. They want to stay here. They want to build a family here. What are some things that you could do as a legislator to help that? I want my children to stay.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I'm finding most interesting, well, two, and I think, well, I'll start with one that I recently came across in the work that I've been doing that I think is really interesting, is that there are a number of housing developers that have a nonprofit foundation arm. I'm biased towards nonprofits. I'm going to talk about them a
that's
lot.
That's your wheelhouse. That's what you've been working
exactly.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
work. Right. You know, for good reason. So there are a number of housing developers that have a nonprofit foundation arm that they funnel profits and money into their foundation arm. And so as they go about developing housing, you know, people are building houses because they want to make a profit. That's their business.
Right.
So it makes sense that the trends for the developers to move toward luxury housing. But that's not where the need is. I mean, there are way too many people across the country and in this district who need places to live that they can actually afford.
Right.
So housing developers with a foundation arm can come in and build housing that is affordable, and they maintain that affordability by kind of supplementing the cost of it through their foundation nonprofit arm.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the ways that is really, you know, an innovative way to address that situation.
So jumping in and working with those builders and developers and saying, hey, let's look at your...
Giving preferential to those kinds of developers. If we're looking to... if the conversation is about building something new, well, let's look at developers that have that foundation.
Because you don't have to pick a developer just because they say, hey, I want to develop.
No, you
There's
don't have
bids.
to pick. Right, that's
right. Okay.
And then there are open hearings that certain people have the luxury of time to attend.
Exactly.
Another housing entrepreneur that I think is really good is the housing trusts, where you know, money from maybe proceeds of county property sale can go into a trust, and then the county purchases property and kind of into a trust, and the trust owns that property in perpetuity, and it is always meant to be affordable housing. So, you know, now
like zombie homes.
So, yes. So there's a land bank now that's kind of fixing up zombie homes and selling them at affordable prices, which is good. But if you buy that home and stay there for a little while and then leave, you sell it for a profit. In the trust, the house stays in the trust and it doesn't get sold for a profit. It gets sold. It remains affordable housing indefinitely.
Got it. Okay. Very interesting. So what are some other issues within the 15th district, or some challenges that you see in the 15th district that you want to like attack head on?
I definitely, you know, as the mother of a child that's getting ready to enter the public school system, so our public schools are state level affairs usually, but I definitely think that there are real opportunities to partner with other levels of government to make sure that our schools are fully funded. That they are safe for our children, that they are employing staff that directly reflect the diversity of the student bodies that they are teaching, that our children who are black and brown are not being suspended at rates that are disproportionately higher than their white counterparts for the same infractions, which is what's happening now. And,
Yes.
kind of funneling up to that school to prison pipeline, that needs to come to an end, needs to be dismantled. I've had the opportunity actually to sit with the Suffolk County Sheriff about that issue, and with Suffolk County Executive Steve Blown about the suspension issue. So those are things that are really important to me, and making sure that our children have an environment to grow up in that's safe, where the education is quality.
Quality, right? Quality education. Absolutely. So you went to Copiague High School. You graduated from there. You also went to Spelman.
I did.
And you got your MBA at Hofstra. So you're a mother, your wife, you're community activists, and you're active on many community organizations as well. What has been your biggest accomplishment in working with the community?
So, as a member of the Urban League State of Black Long Island Equity Council, we had recently had the opportunity to support Suffolk County Police Department's recruitment effort to increase the minority applicants. And so they, it was a team effort. As part of a team, I did this. And obviously there were other entities throughout the county that worked with that. But, they just recently had their highest minority recruitment. So
the word got out. As a matter of fact, we went
kudos to them for making sure that happened.
We went to, we went to a community meeting at in Wyandanch at the at the Wyandanch Plaza, and the officers were there, and they really wanted to get that word out. And I think Urban League was one of the sponsors for that one. It was a great event. A lot of people attended, a lot of people got information, and they signed up right on the spot,
Which is great.
So it definitely is.
It's a good job. It's a good civil service job that should be open to communities like ours. And I think as you see the diversity of the force start to also reflect the diversity of the people that it serves, that hopefully that goes a long way in strengthening relationships between our law enforcement and our young people. And so I do want to say, I know you have questions, but I do want to interject really quickly to say, because there is a video that's kind of circulating right now about some young men from inside the district that were recently asked to leave a store for reasons that they couldn't readily identify. And so it was the store owner that asked them to leave, and then the police showed up and obviously had no real recourse to kind of say what you get to say if the person doesn't want you to stay. But it struck me because I've been in that position. I've been asked to leave a store or had the cops call on me for a reason that there's like no readily available explanation other than I can only imagine that you made some perceptions about who I am based on how I look. And it's a difficult position to be in, because people tell you keep your head and stay calm. But no matter how old you are, no matter how mature you are, there is a very deep natural instinct to want to defend your humanness when someone is kind of suggesting that you shouldn't be walking around in the skin you're in a place that you call home. And so I think that I've had experience with our local police that have been very positive and very reaffirming, and I just think that there's space there in between where when someone comes into the position as your local elected official, that they should be working that space in between to make sure that those relationships come together, and so that everyone feels whole, and so that everyone gets to meet the same goal that we all have, which is to just return home to our families safe at the end of the day.
Everybody has that goal. Right. Exactly. So you work on a granular level with it's the town of Babylon and the district that you serve. So how does the position as a county legislator within a district, how is that far reaching? Do you work as a total body within Suffolk County to make improvements?
Yes, you sit on the body, you have one vote, and everybody has, one vote on matters that come before it, but at the county level. So, the town has their own,
they have their own
body that does the same thing. They vote on town level issues.
So as a legislator, you would be part of that body as well.
The county body,
Got it. Okay. And what are some other issues that you're passionate about? You mentioned the school to prison pipeline. You talked about housing a little bit. Is there anything else that you could say is something that's pressing that we need to really, really work on?
Yes, our drinking water. I am really, really concerned about the quality of our drinking water. Every day, my daughter comes to me, she's like, "Mommy, I'm thirsty." And I'm like, what am I? I'm getting her a cup of water. What am I giving this kid? Is it really okay?
I know.
So I think that, and I know that there are strides being made in that area on the county level. But I think it's important that as a representative for the people in this district, that I make sure that as resources are being allocated, as things are being researched and done, that we don't get left out of that conversation.
Right. Yeah. And how can people support you?
You can support me by going to JackieBurbridge.com and following along with our campaign. I'm also on Facebook at Jackie Burbridge 415. That's 15. And you can make a donation, you can sign up to volunteer, you can follow along and just spread the word and tell people that, we have the chance to make history. We have the chance to take our voices and our votes back on March 10th. And that's what we're going to do.
That is so awesome. What has been the best thing about entering the race?
I guess it's talking to people.
Yeah.
Talking to people. Yeah. Just, it's the good and the bad, because as you talk to them, you realize there's a need. But at the same time, you see the passion that everybody has for their community, which is amazing.
It is. Yeah. It really is. So I want to thank you for being a guest. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching Conversations with Verdel Jones, and we will see you next time.